Hello everybody, Colt45 here. Now, I'm actually doing 3 videos this day, and I normally do 1 video a month. But the reason why I'm doing this is because this is all the stuff I wanted to get to during summer. But I start college tomorrow. So, I figured I'd just power through them right now. So that way I'll have more time to focus on college. And now what I wanted to talk about today was a game called Demon's Souls, which I've done Dark Souls, I've done Dark Souls 2, and I thought, well, how about the game that started it all? How about Demon's Souls, or Demon's Souls? Because it's a demon apostrophe S Souls, which is really awkward to say. But I just want to start out by saying that this game is really, really good. It's, and that a lot of what happens in Demon's Souls directly inspires what happens in both of these games. Even stuff that you think that isn't a throwback to Demon's Souls, it probably is, in a way. Now, I just wanted to compare all the games and talk about Demon's Souls mainly. Demon's Souls it's undescribable. My friend Theron calls it the most perfect garbage game out there, and it is severely unbalanced, which, as seen in the last 2 videos, and the patch rage, I don't really care about. I don't care if it's unbalanced, as long as it's fun, and it is fun. You have assortment of weapons that are really, really creative, more so than what this has to offer. And you can't, and the main thing with this game is that there are a lot of things that sort of revolutionized how it was played, like the format of everything, like no music until boss rooms, or but pretty much no music until boss rooms or hub areas or certain areas in the game have music. It's still really dark and gritty, and it's really, really great. And the graphics for being in 2009 are really outstanding and kind of impressive. Everything's really smooth, the animation's really great, and it has as much of a frame rate drop as what happens in Dark Souls. Not enough to hamper your play, but enough to really stand out. And a lot of this game is glitches, and people will exploit the hell out of the glitches. And the game is notorious for being probably the hardest in the series. However, I disagree. Because you have the glitches on your side, and even then, if you don't use the glitches, it's not really that hard. Let me rephrase that. I'm not saying that the game is easy. It is difficult, but I don't think it's the hardest in the series, because the only thing that really makes it harder than in Dark Souls is that you go all the way back to the beginning of the level, and you still lose your souls, and you're in soul form, which means you have half health. However, this soul form can be completely negated by getting a ring in the very first level of the game that instead makes it decrease to 75% when you're in soul form. So right off the bat, that mechanic is useless. And secondly, the enemies are really, really predictable. And alright. I'm trying to find a way to say all this without pissing fanboys off. Okay. And the movesets are really, really quick. Even for something like the Great Club, I found it to be really, really quick compared to all the bigger and heavier weapons. And there's a little thing, instead of having poise like in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, you have something called hyper armor. And what that is that during certain attack animations, is you have infinite poise. Now this is a double-edged sword. Like, it can help and hamper you at the same time. One, you won't get interrupted. Like, the good parts is you won't get interrupted and you'll still go through with the attack. Bad part is that you're not invincible. You're hard to knock down, but you're not invincible during these attack animations. So they can still wail on you and kill you before you can finish your attack. And the really cool thing is that the Nexus is probably by far the second best hub area I've seen in the entire Soul series. I actually like Majula a little bit more than the Nexus, only because I can find myself living there. I can find myself actually being there and actually saying, this is what I can call a home. This is what I can call a place I can return to safely. The other areas, not so much, especially in Dark Souls. No. But the whole level design in every single game is admittingly linear, and they compensate by that by having this huge area that you can explore, but fairly linear. Like, you can go through, like in Valley of Defilement, you can go through all these different ways. There are 3 different ways to traverse the swamp, but ultimately it begins with you starting at the Arch, and it ends with you fighting the same boss. So, I like that idea a lot, actually. The voice acting is terrible. It is awful. These poor voice actors have no idea how to pronounce some of these words that they're having to read off, and a lot of the voice actors are reused, kind of like in Skyrim, except with that game it got really annoying. This game, it gets kind of overbearing. Like Blacksmith Ed, Blacksmith Bolwyn, and Bjor of the Twin Fangs are the same guy. They don't even disguise it. They are the same guy. And I don't know why, but I found that this mechanic of the roll tendency system is really fucking great. Like, I like what they were going with it, but I felt like it could have been fixed a little. It could have been dealt with a little bit better. Because how the world tendency system works is that if you start off on offline mode, it goes in neutral, but if you go on online mode, it starts off white. And you have pure white world tendency, neutral tendency, and pure dark world tendency. Pure white world tendency will unlock certain events, and where you can get certain items that you wouldn't normally get before. Enemies are easier, and enemies are more likely to drop certain things. Neutral tendency is just neutral, no events, no nothing. In pure black world tendency, you'll have Black Phantoms and Black Phantom NPCs that you can fight, and those same events will usually be open. But not always. Like the Executioner Meralda will be that whole event will be open in pure black world tendency as it would in pure white world tendency, except you're fighting a Black Phantom NPC rather than the NPC herself. You still have access to that whole area, but it's just who you're fighting, and the rest, like the Tower of Latria or the Valley of Defilement, it's just a Black Phantom in a certain part of the Black Phantom NPC in a certain part of the areas. Another thing with Black World tendency is that the enemies will drop more healing items, and your drop rate will go up in pure Black World tendency, which is a great balancing idea. However, the Black World tendency discourages new players and discourages a lot of people, so that what ends up happening is that you commit suicide in the Nexus grab your souls and then go into the area, so that way you won't alter world tendency events. Now, how you alter world tendency events is if you die in the world as human, in human form, or if you kill NPCs. And then they have this other system, which is kind of worthless, is the character tendency. If you kill a lot of Black Phantoms, you will get wider character tendency. Then you can talk to the Monumental and get a ring that'll help with, it'll increase attack power as a Blue Phantom, which is a summon. Or if you get pure black character tendency by killing NPCs, you talk to Mephistopheles, and she will give you the Foes Ring, which will increase your attack power as an invader. Now, that's kind of useless because not many people really rely on those rings that much. And there are a couple of weapons that do use that as a basis. Like you have the Soul Brand, which the darker your character tendency, the more damage it does, and the Demon Brand is the lighter your character tendency is, the more damage it will do. But you don't really need those. It's quite noticeable, but the Northern Regalia will just fix that issue. You don't need to be a certain character tendency to get a lot of attack power out of it. You can just use it. And even then, there are better weapons in the Northern Regalia. So the character tendency is unnecessary. Oh god. Yeah, my parents are passing through the hallway. Another thing I want to talk about is the atmosphere in this game. Is that the atmosphere is really, really good. I really, really like it. Because it's really dark, dingy, and you just sort of, like, you walk into the Tower of Latria and already you just feel endangered. Because you're in a prison cell and you can hear chimes everywhere, and you notice these octopus-headed wardens that'll shoot bolts of magic out of these bells. And you can see this light getting more and more apparent, and then you see the Grave Warden. Not Grave Warden, you see the warden walk by the cell, and then sometimes they'll turn around and come towards you, and they will start attacking. And that is really cool. The atmosphere is unparalleled than any other game I've seen. And in the Valley of Defilement, you see all these dead bodies swarmed by flies and just really grimy and you see these piles of filth. If you even touch the water in there, you're poisoned. And it's just awful and just, disgusting and grimy. And that really hit it home for me that this is really great atmosphere. Because I like it when a world can make me feel what my character is feeling. There's one thing of pointing out, oh, that's great atmosphere. Like, wow, that's really great. I honestly feel like my character's in trouble. But when you can say, wow, I feel like I'm in trouble. Like, I'm gonna be eaten up by those wardens, or I'm gonna be swallowed by the bog of poison. That's when you know you've got really great atmosphere. And the story is really good. It's well fleshed out. It's arguably more fleshed out than, well, actually no, not arguably. It's fleshed out more than in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2, but I like it, no doubt about it, and a lot of it is really touching, and a lot of it's really sad, and it's still really dark and gritty, because it's demons invading the world, basically. And the concept of a demon in this game is it's a thing. It's with the point that they're driving home with Demon Souls is that anybody can become a demon. You just need to know how. people can offer you you can take souls from people and use it for your own, and you're a demon. You're taking souls for your own personal gain. Or you can take the taking of souls for your own personal gain, or getting to a god, or to something called the Old One, which I'm not really sure if that's a god or a demon, and that's really kind of cool, is that you're trying to decide if it's really a god or a demon, and the clerics will tell you that it's a god, and the spellcasters will tell you that it's a demon, really, because it's and the old one is the basis of this whole entire thing, is that the Old One woke up, and now the soul arts and miracles are starting to come back, and they're more powerful than ever, and all the demons are everywhere now. And so what you do is you go and you kill the demons, and it's up to you whether to become a demon or put the Old One to rest, which is all fine and dandy, but I like the lore in Dark Souls 1 better, only because I didn't feel so attached or remorseful for any of the people for some of the people in Demon Souls. Like, I felt sad for Stockpile Thomas, the Candle Maiden Astraea, and Garl Vinland. But that was it. But in Dark Souls, I felt kind of sad for everyone, even the people that are inherent, like, dicks. I felt kind of bad for, like Knight Lautrec. Now, what is a Souls game without boss battles? Boss battles are really flashy, they are really colorful, and it's a lot more than just shove your head right into the boss's ass and then stab with a dagger and then roll away when you need to, and then rinse and repeat. There are tactics, like for the Adjudicator, you have to attack a little blade that's hanging off his belly, and then he'll fall down, and then you attack the crow that's on top of his head. And I like that idea where it's not really gimmicks to these bosses, it's strategies to these bosses, where you can just there are more than one way of killing this boss. Is like the Adjudicator, you can stand on a higher level and shoot spells at it and then dodge its tongue attacks. Or you can go down and slash the blade, or you can slash the blade in its belly. And really, the final boss fight is more disappointing than in Dark Souls 2. It really is. Because it's a guy that's like engulfed in this black goo trying to attack you, but he's floor bound, and he can't really stand up and attack, but he also can't attack very fast. So you can attack him 3 times and then roll away, wait for him to attack, and then go back and attack 3 times and just keep doing that till he dies. Which I thought was really fucking disappointing. But the King Allant of Boletaria, World 1-4, that is a fucking boss fight. That's like, it's like Gwyn from Dark Souls if you can't parry him. So you have to rely on rolls and attacks of opportunity. So, honestly, do I recommend this game? I fucking do. And it's unfortunate for PC and Xbox players since it's PlayStation only. But it's a really great game, and it's really worth buying a PlayStation for, in my opinion. You'll have endless amounts of fun with. And I know people might find this sacrilegious, but I find Dark Souls a little bit better than Demon Souls. But it's still a really great game, and I highly suggest it. Alright, this has been Colt45. And as always, keep playing.